even outside of business, just as a person? Like, are you someone of service, communicating for impact?
You emphasize purpose over profit.
It's so important to have support from your family, as you journey in business. I studied law and economics, so I registered Sublime Prospects.
It inculcated within me a deep respect for entrepreneurs because it's only when you get into the trenches that you realize how hard business is.
Sure, that is a jam-packed question.
I'm a struggle entrepreneur. I'm just being honest, Sip. I should probably drop the mic now.
The angels bow down at the thought of you. The darkness gives way to the light for you. The price that you pay gives us life brand new. Hosanna forever, we worship you. Hosanna forever, we worship you.
Hey,
You see, I love the work you do. Like, there's something about the greeting that invites the audience. So yeah, I think it's a nice intro. I really like it.
Awesome. I really appreciate that. Okay. So just for everyone watching at home, I'm joined today by a friend of mine, Tshepo. Okay, so Tshepo, maybe just to kick it off, who is Tshepo?
Okay, I'm Tshepo, and I am the middle child at home. I have an amazing older sister. She's just incredible, really. And I have an incredible younger brother as well that I learn a lot from. So I think being the middle child is very interesting because you are able to take responsibility, but not as much as the firstborn, and you're not the lastborn. So you somehow like in the middle of being in touch with your emotions and like trying to do the best you can, work wise. So I think that's my family setting. Those are my siblings, and I have amazing parents as well that support me through alongside my siblings. And beyond that, I think Tshepo is someone who is very hopeful. The name actually means hope. So I think as I get older, I see myself living out the name Tshepo. So I'm very hopeful. And I am someone who lives her life in color, very optimistic person, that person in the room where everyone's like, yay, indlu yawa. I'm just like, no, guys, you on your side, but you know. So I'm very optimistic. Whatever trials come, I'm able to be like, okay, that's a problem, but we can fix it. We can work around it. And I think, and I just live my life in color. And I really give all the honor of my whole journey to God because without Him, I really don't know like where I would be without Him. So that's in a nutshell. That's Temple. Yeah.
Ew, so just a quick reflection. I don't want to lie, Tshepo. So getting into this interview, I struggled and honestly still struggling in terms of a direct because I normally have a sense of a direction of where I want to take the conversation with each guest. But with you, you're so dynamic. Like there's so much of Tshepo that we could explore that it's really like that's my struggle because I'm like, man, we could go in this direction, we could go in this direction.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're a very dynamic person. Okay, maybe let's start over here. Let's start with just very simple question. So
Okay.
your siblings, what's the age gap between you and your siblings?
With my sister, it's a 5 year gap. So she's 5 years older than me. And then my younger brother, it's a 14-year gap. I think so. Yeah, so it's like very widespread. It's a very widespread gap, but they're amazing. I think
Mm,
it's such a blessing to have siblings, and just have the support of them. I think it's so
mm,
amazing because you learn so much from them, and you look
mm,
up to them. Like with my older sister, I look up to her and her journey, and with my younger brother, I'm watching him develop into his own person as a teenager now. So yeah, those are my siblings. They're very dear to my heart. And yeah, yeah, I think I've answered that question. Yeah.
yeah, no, beautifully, beautifully. And and how would you describe the relationship between yourself and your sister in particular?
Oh, it's amazing. I think it's such a blessing to have, and I think just speaking on that, because in my journey as we unpack into it, it's so important to have support from your family, as you journey in business and just as a person. So I think the relationship with my sister is likened to someone that is always besides you, like
Mm,
through every stage of your life. They're always besides you. They always rooting for you. They believe that you can do anything and everything that you put yourself to, even when you yourself feel like, can I do it? My sister's really that person's like, who's like, dude, like you can, like just go on and do it. So I think it's really so amazing because you just get to realize that community is everything. Not just having her as a sister, but knowing that in business, I get advice from her. She gives direction in certain decisions that I make for Sublime Prospects, and knowing that you have an older sibling that understands your vision with you and understands the potential that the business can strive towards. It's more than just anybody besides you. You have someone who really cares for you and cares for your business and the things that you want to do in your journey. So it's really a beautiful dynamic relationship that I have with her, and I'm super grateful to God for her.
that is beautiful. And like I'm particularly interested in just that relationship because I'm also a middle child.
Mm.
And my sister's also similar age gap between you and your older sister because she's 4 years
Oh,
older than me.
yeah.
Yeah. What's slightly different in terms of my relationship with her compared to yours is that we haven't always had the greatest relationship
Mm.
um growing up, but the older I've become, the more I've grown to appreciate how much of an impact she has on my life. And just like you said, like when it matters most, like that girl is there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, I remember
Sure.
back in primary, I think was it grade two or grade three? Yeah, grade two or grade three. I, I was being bullied by a guy that was 3 grades older than me.
Oh, sure.
And yeah, it happens.
Sad
So
though. Yeah.
it is sad. It is sad. But the bullying didn't even last for a long time. Like I kid you not, it probably lasted like 2 or 3 weeks because of
Mm.
my sister.
Oh,
As soon
wow.
as she found out that I was being bullied, she literally confronted the guy. He was bigger, he was older, but she was like, Yewen, you will not do this to my younger brother.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that one experience just underscores who she's been to me, just always trying to protect me, trying to look out for my best interests, and just, yeah, like having older sisters is amazing.
It really is. And I think, like, just on that note, I think as I've gotten older and matured as well, is knowing that, as they are firstborns, they don't have like an outlet. They don't have an older sibling as an outlet for them to just lay their hair down, and not be like macho man for everyone else, like us in the middle and the lastborns. And I think the older I've gotten, I've been very intentional about like being that safe space for my sister. I think it's all good and great to consume all the goodness, of having them be so amazing towards us and to lead us the way that they do. But I think as we get older, it's so important to also like give out our love to them and know that we're a safe space for them, and that they don't always have to be strong, and that we can carry those emotions and feelings that they have, and I think that way it just makes the relationship even like stronger, because then you know that you're that safe space for them and they're that safe space for you. And everybody just gets to show up as themselves, on the good days and even so on the bad days. So yeah, it's precious. It's really precious.
Wow. Thank you for sharing those thoughts.
You're
Okay,
welcome.
so Tshepo means hope, and you describe yourself as an optimist. Where do you think that comes from? Is it a I was born like this? Is it a nature thing, or is it a nurture thing? Is it how you were brought up? Where do you think that comes from?
Um, I think it's my life experiences, you know. Um, I think, if I was to say I was born hopeful, I didn't even know growing up like how to navigate life as a little child, and I think just through different life experiences and through knowing God's with you in those different life experiences, it gives hope, because the word of God says that may the God of hope fill your hearts, and I think God really fills my heart to be hopeful. I think just being an adult and navigating different parts of our lives comes with so much, but to stay hopeful is really from God, um, because He sees greater in me than what I see in myself. His ways are greater than my ways, and His thoughts are greater than my thoughts. And just staying hopeful and knowing that like God ushers me through the journey and the different stages of my life keeps me keeps me hopeful. Having God besides me keeps me hopeful, because I feel like hope is, even if you can't really see the silver lining and you can't really see how the story is going to end and how great it looks as you go upon your life's journey, but you have the hope, you have the faith that things get better, and there's nothing that God doesn't know that He will not do. It's just a matter of us being still and staying hopeful and trusting, um, all that which happens in our lives, all the different experiences, and just clinging unto Him in and out of season. So that's how I stay hopeful, just trusting God in the journey, and that then trickles down to how I stay hopeful in business and just keep going along. So yeah, yeah.
One of the things that quickly stands out about you when someone first interacts with you, and this is drawing back from our time at Rhodes. So we've only had a couple of interactions right back
Yeah.
at Rhodes, but I think within the first probably, let's say, 2 to 3 interactions, I could pick up that you are someone of faith, someone for whom God means a lot. We sort of lost communication for a couple of years, and we recently reconnected on social media, right? And
Yeah.
once again, one of the first things that stood out for me about you is just your deep rooted faith in God. Where does that come from, and why is it so important to you?
Sure. Where does that come from? I think it comes from different parts and people in my life. So I think I've known God through my family, from my parents, from my sister, just my family as a unit, and different people that I've interacted with, like while I was at Rhodes, really just like through their life experiences, I got to see that, like, in this situation, it could only be God. In this circumstance, it could only be God that can take someone out of such a situation and for him to get the glory. And I think for me, I think it's all those different people and different life experiences, but it's also just spending time with him has allowed me to know him for myself. And why do I believe in God so much? Because he has carried me. He has carried me through. Um, my journey, and it would be a misfortune to take the glory when it belongs to God. And I think just thinking of everything that I do, I think even in business, it's understanding that the thought of sublime prospects, the thought of how to navigate it and how to do things in the business, before it's about me, it's God grant me the direction to usher this well. So really being able to be that mindful of Him, that in every season that I find myself in, that I come out of, it's only by His grace and His faithfulness that I am ushered out of that place, because by my own flesh or by my own ways, I do not have that ability to do so. So so yeah, I think I've just answered both questions like at the same time. But yeah, so I think that sums it up. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing.
Thank
The
you.
glory is God's, and it only makes sense to then give it back to God. That's beautiful. I like that. I
Yeah,
really like that.
thank you.
Awesome. Okay, so Temple, I think you've mentioned the word business three times in the time that we have engaged together, and I think I would be remiss if I don't like start jumping into into that as a topic. Because I'm
Yeah.
sure people who are watching are curious. Tsepo's been talking about business, business, business. What does she do? Perhaps before you jump into Tsepo as the business lady and what kind of business spaces that she's in. Usually I think every entrepreneur has a story that sort of leads them to business. For some, it's in their DNA. They're born with it. They've got, like, if they're not engaged in some entrepreneurial venture, it feels like something is missing for them. So it's just in their DNA. And for others, perhaps they grew up in an environment where, mom and dad are entrepreneurs. And so therefore, I start learning and grow into entrepreneurship. For others, perhaps it's circumstances that sort of cultivate those entrepreneurial skills and attributes within you. What is Tsepo's story leading up to entrepreneurship?
Sure. That is a jam-packed question. But I'll answer it, Besan. So Tapa's story leading up to entrepreneurship, I'll just go through like the whole story just to give background. So actually, I started baking. I started baking when I was around 16, 16, 17. That was around grade 10. Yeah, grade 16 was grade 10. Yeah. Then 17, 18, matric all the way down. I started baking lamingtons, which are, I think everyone knows them. I just think the names is like lamingtons, but it's just those vanilla vanilla squares that are coated in like chocolate icing with coconut.
Okay.
Yes.
Mm.
And I used to bake those and I'd go to school with them, sometimes chocolate brownies, and I'd take them to school for my friends and I'd give them at break and just kept doing that. But I wasn't making an income from it. I was just baking because I loved doing it. Then I went to university. Then I went to Rhodes University. That's where I met Ulunga. And while I was at Rhodes University, I studied law. I studied law and economics. So I did, yeah, my BA and my LLB. But I think I met you while we were doing history. I think
Yes,
yes,
yes. Mm.
history. Yeah, I think that's I taken history as one of my courses. But yeah, but anyway, so I did my BA law and economics majors, and then I did my LLB. So at the time, while I was at Rhodes, still studying, I was part of a society called Voices of Glory and VOG. So while at VOG, we were fundraising for a project we had coming up. So I was helping the ladies bake in the team, and I was helping them bake cupcakes in the team. But the idea of Sublime Prospects hadn't come yet. I was just baking because I was still studying law and economics, so I didn't want to have that take too much of my time. So I just bake here and there while focusing on school. And then I graduated, um, yeah, with my LLB and the BA and everything, graduated. Um, yeah, that was the LLB and stuff. I think it was 2021. Yeah, with the LLB and then the BA before that. And then after that, after I was done with the BA and the LLB, graduated and stuff, then was in the job market, um, looking for opportunities, law related. And I think that's how, in the search of opportunities, I then started doing mediation training. I did mediation training, like learning how to be a mediator just in the legal space. And then I did my PLTs, which just help you get more legal understanding of the legal profession. And those are as far as my legal experiences and qualifications go. So, in the interim of that, then now I came and I registered Sublime Prospects, right? And in doing this was because, you know, you have these legal experiences that you've endured and you've gone through, but you're also someone who's very dynamic and somebody who loves to exercise their talents and their skills, you know. And that was now time for me to shift from just selling cupcakes and actually like formalizing it legally and registering my company. So I registered Sublime Prospects. And before registering Sublime Prospects, maybe some people that have followed through my journey would know that it was first called Treats by Tea. So it's a big jump from Treats by Tea to Sublime Prospects because you wouldn't even know that, you know, what does Sublime Prospects do? And that was very intentional, actually, to have my company registered as one that is not as clear in terms of what the name is, right, and what it does. And it's very intentional because as we get into after registering Sublime Prospects, the word sublime means excellent, right? A synonym for it means excellent. And prospects really just means like excellent ventures or excellent prospects. I guess there's just different things that are coming, you know, and that name just came to me, Sublime Prospects, and why did it come to me, and why did I decide to stick with that for a baking company, is because Sublime is not just a baking company, it's a dynamic baking company that also offers voiceover services for small businesses. So basically, if there's small businesses that just need a trained voiceover artist, to just have a sales impact on their ads, then that's the type of services that Sublime Prospects offers as well. So it's kind of just integrating the baking elements of baking cupcakes and cakes and cake stickles and other desserts as well. But also, I found it important that sometimes, sometimes you miss the sale because it wasn't advertised well. Or sometimes you miss the sale because the message wasn't articulated well. And I think that's how Sublime Prospects helps small businesses as well to just articulate the message you're trying to give out, when, how long it's valid for, and why your product. And it's such a dynamic journey because I have experience in sales as well, outside of mediation. Outside of mediation.
What at this point the question should be, what are you not good at?
Oh, stop. So, so I also have like experience in sales, and that's why I speak about the whole holistic part of Sublime so fully, is because I have experience in sales. I've worked at a few Pick and Pay brands as like a voice announcer. So basically, the one who has the mic and you can hear it in the store, like, oh, come to aisle 12. This is what we have on special, these appliances. So I've worked at a couple of Pick and Pay branches and at Macro as well. So these experiences, even the legal related ones, are a holistic journey for Sublime, because even in Sublime Prospects, it's important to have a legal mind. It's important to know that as someone who wants to start a business, you must formulate and formalize it and register it with the CIPC, and be able to know that there's certain things that you need to do to process things easily. Like, you should have a terms of service agreement for your business. So in case you have a wedding cake coming up and someone hasn't paid the deposit, you can hold them accountable to your terms of service agreement. So I think all these different experiences, the legal part of me and the sales part of me and the baker in me, is all adding up to Sublime Prospects. And at Sublime, the goal is simple: to guarantee excellence in everything that we do. So yeah, that's just the journey as to how I've just tapped into entrepreneurship, but not just tapped into. It was always there growing up. Um, Actually, I forgot to say, I started my first sales job when I was in matric. Um, that was my first sales job. Like, while I was in matric, I was with a certain agency and we were selling products, like breakfast products. That was my first sales job. And, with this journey, everything connects. God gives you that revelation, like He shows you glimpses of it, and you just need to prepare yourself in different experiences and gauge as much as you can. And once the time is right, He will uproot you, and then you're ready to register the business, because it's not something that should be so quick to do. You must know that once you register your business, you uphold a certain standard, and the audience upholds you to that standard that you've set for your business. So preparation in the journey is not delay. It all adds up for a purpose. It all adds up for a purpose. So yeah.
Hmm. This is why I struggled with you, Tshepo. Genuinely, you're so dynamic. And the thing is, it's not just that you're dynamic and that you're doing a lot of things, it's that you're dynamic and excelling in these things that you do. Which actually leads, because, and then I say this genuinely, like it's not just to like make you feel good. Genuinely, like I've gone through your Instagram and I've seen the voiceover ads, that you, some of the ones that you've done. One that's at the top of my mind, I think it was one you did for macro related one.
Yes.
Absolutely stunning, professional. With your permission, I'd actually like to. Can I include it in the post production in this segment? Is that okay?
Okay with that. Thank
Okay,
you.
awesome. I'll include it here so that people hear how professional it is.
Journey with me as we explore the incredible deals at Macro. Come, let's go. For more ease and comfort at boardroom meetings, get yourself this black leather chair for only 5499 and a burnt wood desk for an affordable 4499. It's back to school specials at Macro, and to avoid the kids from spilling juice on their assignments, get a 50 pocket for only 85 Rand or a 30 pocket for an incredible 35 Rand. Looking at these specials, I am convinced that the Hisense 10 kg washing machine is just the missing piece in your home. It's only 7499, saving you 1000 Rand. Don't forget to swipe your card so that you can save money and live better.
Like it's only towards the middle of the video. It's like, I go, this is simple. Oh, what? It's just there, but like this is the tempo that I
Yeah,
know from
and I
first
went to
and
notes with Guyano.
I more.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's not just that you're dynamic, it's that you like everything you put your mind to, you execute to the best of your ability. Which then leads me to a question that one of my previous guests had. She'd asked me a version of this question that I then, now want to ask you. She asked me the confidence. So, the confidence to pursue, because all of these things are different. Pursuing a
Mm.
career in the legal profession is vastly different from baking, vastly different. And perhaps we'll touch on this as we progress in the conversation. But I also noticed that you have a poetry page.
Mm.
See, we've got legal here, we've got baking here, we've got poetry here, we've got voiceovers. So there's
And
you
events. And
and
events. I run
events.
an events company with my sister.
Amazing. The confidence to pursue all of these different passions, where does that come from?
Sure. I think the confidence to pursue these things, and I think it's such a blessing. It has to be my family. My parents, my mom and my dad and my sister have played the biggest role in allowing me to be a confident young woman with a big personality. You know, they knew that I had a big personality and they allowed it, they welcomed it, you know, and they never shunned away from it. They never said, oh, you're a lot for society. All they needed, and I think that's what any parent needs, because I think some people struggle with this in their family setup where your family wants you to be this or that, you know. But my family has allowed me to be this and that, you know, and it's such a blessing because all they need and any other family needs is the assurance that if you want to be in a legal space and an event space and a baking space and a voiceover space, a sales space, can you do it well? And if you can answer that question to them and show them that, yes, it's a lot, yes, it's different industries, it seems like I'm all over the place, but I'm not. But if you're able to do that well, then they also content, you know, they can also like be like, you know what, whatever you do, we know that you'll do it well, because they understand that doing things excellently is in you and they believe in you. And I know that some people can show their families that I can do this well. It then is no longer your responsibility to make them see that you can do it well, because sometimes you can show family that, oh, I'm doing this and I'm doing it well, but not all families are ready for that transition. And sometimes they might catch up later. You know, they might catch up later or reflect later and realize that, hey, maybe I was a bit too hard on my son or on my daughter. But now I see that they actually are doing well and they've always shown me that they are, you know. So I speak on my personal experience, which was such a blessing to have that support and confident booster as a child all the way up to adulthood from my parents and my sister. And it's just to say, for people that don't have that support system, just keep doing what you're doing, you know, keep going. And I hope that your family is able to see at a later stage that these are the different things you're passionate about and that you do them well, you know. um so yeah, yeah.
As you're speaking, I was also just thinking about someone who is growing up in an environment that isn't as supportive as yours has been. And the beauty of life is that at any given point, you, to an extent, you have agency. You can choose to say that I did not have this kind of upbringing, but in my future family, I can try to be what I did not have. You know.
100%. I
Mm,
think, like you're saying, it's like for people that don't have that, it's like you felt the pain of that lack, you know,
mm,
and now you're like, I will navigate differently for my kids, you know.
mm,
And also, I think we're also a generation that is also more in tune with the society we live in and the different job opportunities and different areas of doing anything that you want to do is so different compared to our parents' times. So I think we will definitely, like you're saying, become those parents that are just open to allow our kids to be anything and everything that they know they are capable of being from a very young age all the way up, you know, and they will just shine as well in their respective journeys. Yeah.
quick recap. So we've spoken about Sublime. Is that the full name?
Sublime prospects.
Sublime Prospects. And we've
Yeah.
spoken about how Sublime Prospects offers baking services, voiceover services. Are the events planning also under Sublime or a separate company?
It's a separate company.
Okay, break it
Yeah.
down for us.
So the events company is called Uritusite Events. So Uritusite Events, um, translated in English, means like assistance, like help. So we have been helped, assisted. So how do we navigate Uritusite Events? So with Uritusite Events, it's an events company that I run with my sister, and we offer high, classy, elegant, incredible decor for all events. So, be it your wedding, be it a baby shower, be a bridal shower, those are the type of events, or tombstones. any event that a client approaches us with, we offer those services. So it's a separate company, with different with a different experience as well, and different challenges that come with running a deco company. But the beauty there is that I don't have to do it alone. You know, I run the company with my sister, and we're just able to bounce off ideas as to, okay, if this client desires this, how do we navigate about it? What color schemes work? What's the venue? What's their budget? How do we work around it? And just at any given time exceed our clients' expectations, in the events that they have. So yeah, it's a separate company offering event planning services, styling, everything event related.
Mm.
Yeah.
Are you still working in the legal space?
Well, I haven't exactly. So it's more of the mediation training sector of things, was just being able to be trained as a mediator, but not formally. Still searching for opportunities in the legal fraternity, but also still being upskilled and educated about legal related things and legal related matters. But currently, my main focus is working at Sublime Prospects and running the events company with my sister, while still seeking opportunities in the legal space.
Because where I was going with that is to say, you're doing so much. Like, how are you able to like balance everything?
Yeah, no, I think that clears the legal part of things. But yeah, those are the area focuses now in business.
Hmm. And
Yeah.
so you touched on how running
Listen properly.
Orithusitse.
Oritutsi say you have assisted us.
Yes.
Oritutsi say. Okay. So you mentioned that there have been challenges along the way. What have been some challenges that you've experienced as an entrepreneur as it relates to running two businesses concurrently while also nurturing a poetry passion?
Okay. So I'll start with the challenges. Um, so this will speak on both like Sublime and Uretusite challenges. I think one of the challenges about business as an entrepreneur is you need to be able to understand that it is hard in the beginning. It's difficult in the beginning, and you cannot start a business based on income. You can't start a business because you want to make money. That can't be your biggest why for starting a business. And I think the challenge in that is accepting that as you start, you kind of have to start in the market at a lower rank price wise, and scale up as you go, because you're trying to establish your market. You're trying to establish your market. Oh, sorry. You're trying to establish your market. So you need to start at a relatively reasonable price to get your clients in to buy into your products and your services. And like I'm saying, the reality is that you cannot start because you want to make money, because in business, you don't make money every day. It's quiet sometimes, and when it's busy, it's great, but when it's quiet, it's not so great. So you can't just have that as your why, that, oh, I want to start a business because I want to make money. And I think it's important to know that your client is not just a transaction. You know, you can't look at it like I'm saying, from a money point of view, because that client is a person, right? And that person wants to get value from your services, but also what you need to give that value out, right? And you can't look at that person as a quote or an invoice coming in. How will you retain the customer? How will you maintain customer loyalty? I mean, if it's just I've provided the service, there you go. You need to you need to be somebody that understands that it's not only about money, because you won't always make money in business. It has to be more than that. It has to be beyond yourself. Another challenge I would pose is you need to also accept that if you want to start a business, or if you are in business, you need to ask yourself the hard question: am I someone of service? Like, am I somebody of service? Do I serve, um, even outside of business, just as a person? Like, are you someone of service? Do you have a spirit of servitude? It's a question no one asks themselves, but it's very important in business, because how will we combat bad service from small businesses if we don't ask ourselves the hard question that, am I a person of service? And why this is important is because that's what business is. You are rendering a service. Your customer is your biggest, the most important person in the room is your customer. And if you don't know or understand why it's important to serve the needs of your clients with high value and just good communication, not even just communication, communicating for impact. That's something I learned when I was doing the Forward program by McKinsey's, that it's important to communicate, articulate yourself with impact, you know? So if you do not know how to serve, or you do not understand that business is about rendering a service and also maintaining loyalty with your customers so that you can be referred to other people, then don't start a business, because we will find ourselves in a spiral where everyone wants to start a business, but you don't have the right character for one. And at Sublime and at Uritusi's events is to guarantee excellence in everything that we do. Why? So that we do not become people that have lost track of service and ushering that adequately and properly, you know? So I think that's a question that people need to ask themselves. It's a challenging question to ask yourself. Are you someone who's willing to serve? And I think another challenge starting out is being young. Starting in business young is a challenge. Starting in business young as a woman is a challenge. In as much as it's a challenge in corporate to be young and to excel, it's the same challenge to be young and excel in business. It's a challenge because being young, so let me give an example in the baking space. In my baking industry and the events industry as well, suppliers are fairly older than me. The people that I work with are fairly older than me. People that I interact with in business are fairly older than me. Some clients that I get for baking are fairly older than me. And sometimes I can give an example just with Sublime, is sometimes you get a client who fairly undermines your skill, your baking skill, because you're young, and somehow it seems as though, are you really the person that baked this cake? Could it really be? And I think it's a reality, and I think some people in business and even corporate understand that being young and excelling and being a woman, it comes with the challenge of being undermined. But it's important to overcome that, because eventually, as you go, the skill speaks for itself. the quality of your work, the quality of events that you do, the quality of the cakes that you bake, they will begin to speak for themselves. And then the person comes back after the order and it's like, oh my gosh, this is really great, and the work will speak for itself. But that is proven a challenge. That is proven a challenge as well. And the last challenge, I think, would be don't idolize your business. I think starting out as a business person, you trying to put your brand out as much as you can, right? You're really trying to get it out there, and you're making a lot of sacrifices to be present, to get an audience, to get sales. But it's so important to also rest, because I've learned, and I'm saying this because I've been on both sides of what I'm saying. I've been someone who has needed to put Sublime out there to get the customers, to put in the work, which is all good and great. But it's also important that there's this saying I've heard recently about, where you trust, what you hold on to the most will show where you trust God the least. So what you hold on to the most shows where you trust God the least. So just let go. Do the best that you can and do what you need to do, but you should rest, because I think it's important, because if you think about someone that has a personal page and a business page. Well, I have my personal page, Tshepo, then I have the Sublime Prospects page. And you get to see that the business page is the business page. The personal page is the personal page. That distinction is for a reason, not just for myself, but for anyone in business or anyone who wants to start, is to know that that distinction is for a reason, so that in the beginning, you have to show up on both platforms because you're trying to grow the other social media page. But over time, the page can stand on its own and allow it to start standing on its own. Because the reason why I say don't idolize the business is because people that go on my personal page really just want to see Tshepo and a day in the life of Tshepo or whatever that is related to me. Yes, there'll be moments where I promote sales about specials that I have for Sublime, but for the most part, always keep that distinction in mind why they're separate. Because I asked myself this question. I said, if I reached a point in my company and business rescue was, we couldn't rescue the business, like the business rescue proceedings didn't work out, and now we're getting liquidated, and now the company's reached the final point of liquidation, how would I respond? Would I say, okay, yes, I've had my fair share of mishaps in my business journey, but I can say that I did the best to upskill and build systems and do everything that Sublime needs to be a company that guarantees excellence. Or if the liquidation part comes and we're closing your company down, does one say, oh no, I need more time, I didn't get to do everything that I needed to do? So I think it's so important to know that when it comes to business, you give the best that you can, so that you don't have to regret later that I should have done this more and I didn't. So, like I said in the beginning, it's so important to know that when you decide to register your company, it's a bigger responsibility to carry, and to know that sometimes in life, the beginning of something reaches a point of completion. And when that point comes, God forbid, but let's say the point of liquidation comes, are you confident enough to know that, okay, as for Sublime Prospects, I gave everything that I could to make sure that it is at a place where we've done the best we could? Or maybe you are not committing to the company as you should. So yeah, I think that's a challenge that we face as entrepreneurs that, do the best that you can and allow God to assist you as you navigate. Don't hold on to the business for everything. Like, build your systems, deliver high quality, do the best you can to make sure that you uphold that standard, but don't be like, every time when we just speak to you, it's only about your business, when there's so much dynamic that comes with building a business that still has your personality in it. And we still get to see you in it. And it's not just cakes, 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 cupcakes, cupcakes. And we just don't see Tshepo make a joke on her page, a baking joke on her page, or we don't see me taking my audience, um, yeah, or just taking my audience in a day in the life of a baker, so that they are able to see that behind cakes and cupcakes, there's Tshepo. And Tshepo is someone that loves to laugh. Tshepo has a personality. And it's important to come to a point where you understand that, in business, you need to somewhat be a business owner that makes it less intimidating for people to enter the market, And I think for me, it's being able to say what I've said, that you will find cakes and cupcakes, but you'll also find humor on baking humor jokes that I share, or you'll also see me take you through getting ingredients. Does everybody like baking or cupcakes? No, not everyone has a sweet tooth, but everybody knows someone that has a sweet tooth, that they're able to say, hey, actually, I saw this. You should like check this page out. You should contact Sublime Prospects for your child's birthday cake. But it's so important for me to be myself as I run my business, so that no one feels like it's so intimidating to be a business owner. No, we still need to see your personality come out in your business. And we still need to feel related to you somewhere, so that we don't feel like entering the market is for a certain type of people. And I think I love how you had mentioned that I'm a dynamic person, because I think none is greater than the other, you know? Um, every part of the journey counts. So yeah, yeah.
You should probably drop the mic now. Yo, there's so much in what you have just said that really stands out for me. And I think firstly, I really like how you emphasize purpose over profit. And I think that's so important because so I'm an English teacher in China, and a lot of the times like you'll interact with people that say, hey, you know what, I actually think I should start a business. I'll start buying t-shirts and sell them back home, very transactional, very transactional.
Mm,
So not very purpose driven. So the intent is not I want to add value in someone's life. It's just that hey, I want quick cash. So t-shirts, people match. And so often those businesses really don't make it past the first couple of months, year. They're lucky if they get to 5 years. So I
mm,
think that really stands out for me. I think number two, secondly, what stands out for me in what you have said is um the fact of, and once again, it ties back to, okay, what is sometimes a source of irritation for me, because I've tried building two businesses. One was a photography business, and one was a clothing line business, and it was such an educational process. And I think more than anything, it inculcated within me a deep respect for entrepreneurs, because it's only when you get into the trenches that you realize how hard business is.
That's it. That's all I'm gonna do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
business is hard. It's so, so hard. And so I think there's just a level of respect that I think more people need to pay to entrepreneurs and to entrepreneurship that goes beyond just saying, I want to make extra money, so I'll start a business. Imana, do you know how hard it is to start a business? it's
Hmm. You?
it's yeah, no, but it's okay. If people don't know, they will learn. They will learn.
So what happened with those businesses?
Oh, okay. So the one business, so the clothing line, that's I sort of my time was very constrained because I pursued my honors the following year after having established it with my then partner, and so yeah, the
Yeah.
honors just sort of consumed the bulk of
Mm,
my life, and it's sort of like yeah, that sort of stopped, and other reasons. We're no longer together. We separated, and it was kind of like a couple's brand. It was I still choose you was sort of the slogan. So it's hard to just continue something after you've,
yeah.
separated with the person that you had established it with. So I just sort of let go of that idea. The photography business is something that I was doing part time. Um, it was admittedly to, and I think this is why I learned the respect. Like I paid my school fees to gain the respect for entrepreneurs that I now have, because it was intended to sort of as a side hustle, um,
Mm,
to sort of make extra money as opposed to really being invested in terms of, okay, listen, this is something that I want to provide value to people. This is something
mm,
that I'm putting a conscious effort in terms of upskilling and ensuring that with each client that I serve, I am giving them a much better service. I'm improving myself so that I'm improving the quality of the output that I give.
mm.
What happened with that? Once again, I sort of moved on to the next big goal. So normally I start these businesses. For me, entrepreneurship comes up at a time when I am in a phase of struggle in my life. So I'm a struggle entrepreneur. I'm just being honest, if I just
You think that people just do it to just get by, but anyway, it's fine.
and that's the thing. I learned my lesson. I learned more than
Mm,
anything that
it's more
entrepreneurship is
than
like it's
yeah.
more than that.
Mm,
Also, I another lesson that I learned is that entrepreneurship takes a lot of talent. In the same way that soccer takes talent, in the same way that basketball takes talent, swimming takes talent. There's a
yeah.
level of talent that
Mm,
entrepreneurship takes.
yeah.
And yeah, yeah, just a whole lot of
Yeah.
respect for people who are able to do it on a consistent
Like
basis.
basis. Yeah. It's hard, but it's really rewarding. I wouldn't have it
Absolutely.
any other way, really. It's so rewarding.
Mm,
Yeah,
mm,
it really
mm,
is.
mm, definitely. Okay, so we've hit the 1 hour mark. Perhaps as we close it off, so we've talked about the challenges that you've experienced in business. Tell us a bit
Yes,
about the blessings.
sure. The blessings about business is that you have the liberty to be creative with every event and with every order and with every script. You have the liberty to understand that this is what I'm doing and I can do certain things differently all the time, you know? And that's just such a blessing that if I make a cake, for example, if I bake a cake, one customer wants Barbie, another customer wants Man United, let's say, like let's say you get another customer and that customer wants a Man United cake. And you have to move from Barbie to Man United, do it differently in different ways. like all the time. So it's a blessing because I love being challenged, and I think that's the beauty about business is that whatever it is you're doing, you're going to be challenged to somewhat do better every time that you do a cake, cupcakes. Every single person wants a different design, meaning that it tests your creativity every single time. You have to be different, you know. And in the event space, every single event is different. You might do a nude and green event, but then you do it twice and it's a different outcome, you know. So there's that creativity, and you get to just dwell in that space. And I think the other blessing, I know everyone says it, but it's really like being able to have your time, like that level of control as to what you get to do with your time. It's really nice. Like it's really nice to go about the day and realize like, okay, these are the different tasks that we need to get done today. And there's time for rest because you can't be creative in a tired mind, in a tired state, you know? So it's important that you rest because that's where your innovative ideas come in. And another blessing about business, the last is branding. Like I remember I didn't really like get that difference between how branding and marketing and sales are all different. But the blessing now is that the more informed I am with having done the forward program by McKinsey and reading different books, I'm now able to understand that branding is a blessing in business because every time as you grow, like every time you hit that 1 year mark of your business, you change certain things in your brand, you know, while keeping some relatable and predictable. So for example, what's a relatable and predictable thing for me in Sublime is Dumelang, guys. And that greeting for me is a warm welcome to Sublime, you know, a warm gesture of welcome to Sublime, the warmth of being able to be on our page and to see the work that we're doing and order whatever cakes or cupcakes that you want, but you have that ringing voice of Dumelang, guys, and you know that's Tshepo, and you know that's Sublime's voice. So that's how you add things that represent your brand. And being able to know that your logo is not your brand, it's just a visual representation, you know, that helps identify your brand. But the reason why I'm saying that is that if we move your logo from the picture, can we still identify Sublime Prospects? Can we still identify your company if your logo's not there? So that's why branding is important, because you know that with McDonald's, even if you move the M and the M and the red and yellow, you know who says I'm loving it, you know. So it's so important that the blessing in it is that you always get to brand and rebrand as you navigate business. So I think those are like the top three blessings I think that really stand out about my business experiences. So yeah.
Beautiful. I think and I did this with my last guest, and if you'll allow me, I'd like to do it with you to
Okay.
just give the final thoughts first before we allow you to give the final thoughts, so that your word is like the last thing our people hear, right?
Okay.
Awesome. I think for me, it's just to express gratitude. In fact, before I express gratitude, I just want to say one thing that's always stood out for me and that still stands out for me about you is how in whatever you do, whatever you're engaged in, you give 110%. Like there's nothing average in the effort that you give in everything you do. And even recently, having gone through your Instagram pages, the poetry page, the voiceovers, the ads, all of that were done to a superior quality. And I think once again, it speaks to how you don't do things at an average level. You give 110%. So I think that's admirable. And I think that's definitely like a defining quality and just definitely part of your branding because you are just exceptional. And I think one thing that I've learned from having this conversation is just a deeper understanding of why that is. That you go, above the call of duty. It's because you're purpose driven. For you, it's more than just a transaction. It's not just about, hey, baking a cake or organizing an event. It's about the other person on the other side. Are they receiving value from this exchange? Am I having an impact on their life? Am I making their life better as a result of our interaction? And I think that's admirable. So that's first thing I just want to say. Second thing is to say thank you. You have made time for me, and I think I especially am grateful for you after having this conversation because you're doing a lot. You're busy. I granted you have uh you did say that like your time is your own, but there's still a lot that's on your plate, a lot that you have to navigate through. So for you to carve out an hour of your time, in fact, more than an hour of your time, to
Yeah.
have this conversation with me means a lot. And so I'm very, very grateful. Thank you so much. I think a lot of people watching this podcast will find value. And I think especially I'm excited for my own little sister and my own niece to watch this episode as young Black women. You're the kind of role model that as an older brother, as an uncle, I sleep better at night knowing that women like you are out there in spaces, business spaces, legal spaces, pursuing your dreams in dynamic areas of life and just killing it, giving it your very best. So thank you so much for just being you and for doing everything with purpose.
Oh, you're so kind. You're so kind. um,
Over to you.
thank you so much, Lunga. I really appreciate all that you've said. Not all days are easy, but I think, like you're saying, it's so encouraging to hear those words from someone on the outside because sometimes in business we're so hard on ourselves. So to hear that really means so much to me. And thank you for having me on this platform. In as much as you are like, oh, tap on this, I'm also like, Lunga, this is amazing. The work you're doing is amazing. And I've followed through these episodes where you've brought guests all the way up till the last, and you are able to connect with different personalities, but the message is the same, the substance is the same. So I hope and I pray that you continue to bring more like minded people and even those with different journeys on your platform because I've also been enriched um, in this time we've had. So thank you so much. And just keep going, even when there aren't much interactions and engagement, like keep going, keep doing it. That's the nature of business. This is a business that you're running. So that's how it is. It happens as well for me, but you just keep going with the understanding that there's greater ahead that God has placed in you. So thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Johnny. Enjoy the
Bye.
rest of your evening. Bye.